Hello everyone. Today we review a very underrated episode of R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour. Though I wouldn't blame you if the title alone made you cringe in fear exactly like I did. But let's get through this. This is my review of The Haunting Hour episode, My Sister the Witch. So, our episode opens up with two Boy Scouts named Pete and Reggie working on their science project together, which is of course the cliched volcano project that you probably always see in stupid cartoons. However, Pete's sister, Alice, returns home from boarding school. Insert my old house Alice joke here, since they recycle the same named character. Except to be fair, this Alice came before the my old house one, which makes this even more confusing in hindsight. As Alice tries unpacking her stuff, Pete and Reggie see a spellbook fall from out of her backpack. Nice job hiding your secret there, Alice. Before they can learn more, Alice takes back the book and forces the two out of her room. That night, Pete sees his sister Alice heading out of the house and running off into a colossal forest just outside of their home. Weird, but okay. And as you can guess, Pete follows her to see where she's going. Upon reaching his sister, Pete discovers her secret.
By not a 4, the powerhouse. By not a 5, it smells of love. By not a 6, the spell effects. By not a 7, events 11. By not of 8, it will be fate.
Witchcraft! Sorcerer! To the cat!
Pete immediately rushes back into the house to warn his parents that Alice is a witch, but he didn't count on his sister having teleportation powers since she made it home before he did, causing them to dismiss his claims. The next morning, Pete tries telling his friend Reggie about his sister, the witch, and get this, Alice's cat's name is Baba Yaga, from the famous Russian witch known as Baba Yaga. And upon saying the cat's name, who's named after the famous Russian witch, their volcano blows up. Ooh, could it be a curse? Pete then sees the cat Baba Yaga outside the window, as if it was following him this whole time. Pete decides to look into Alice's room to find proof of her being a witch, while his friend Reggie keeps watch outside while Alice is away. When the brother finds his sister's magical supplies, he gets spotted by you-know-who.
Look, it's like a how-to on witchcraft.
To the cat!
Alice unexpectedly returns home while Pete tries to hide in the closet. Doesn't he know that hiding in the closet never works out in horror stories? When Pete emerges from the closet, Alice pops out and cuts off a piece of his hair. Before he can even react, their dad comes into the room after catching Reggie spying on them outside. Pissed off that his best friend failed to help, Pete removes Reggie's surveillance badge. Hey, I'm not a Boy Scout or anything, but does he even have the authority to do that? I kind of figured that only Scoutmasters could remove badges, but I guess the Haunting Hour thinks he can do it too. Believe it or not, but the removal of the Scout badge is actually a plot point. So remember this very stupid scene, because it'll come handy later. Also, we never see the cat ever again in this episode, and it was only there for pointless jump scares. Yeah, never see the black cat ever again in the story. The next day, Reggie apologizes to Pete about failing him, but suddenly reveals that he has a huge knowledge of witch lore as he tries warning his friend that his sister might use his hairpiece to cast a spell on him. When the family has dinner together, Alice has her parents paralyzed by her food. Afraid she'll attack him, Pete runs to her room and steals her sister's spellbooks to burn them in an effort to take her powers away. Alice finds him and reveals that she was good all along and that she was actually trying to protect them. Good job proving that by paralyzing your parents as test subjects, Alice. Really innocent. However, Alice reveals that she was only protecting her family this entire time by practicing her spells, and tells Pete that somebody else has been cursing him and her family in order to get revenge on her. Yeah, that whole stealing a piece of his hair scene was also entirely pointless too, since it amounted to absolutely nothing. Alice theorizes that another spellcaster is attacking them through dark magic when they see all the supernatural events occurring around them. She comes up with a plan to reverse the curse. Yeah, that rhymes. And naturally, all the remedies she needs for a spell are conveniently at the Boy Scouts clubhouse. Of course they are. We then get a funny scene where the parents unfreeze outside to show the kids at home that they're okay. And we cut back to Pete, tricking Reggie to come to the Boy Scouts clubhouse at night, since the duo think he's the spellcaster thanks to his bizarre accurate knowledge of witches. However, it turned out that Reggie was not the spellcaster, but was working for the real villain, the Scoutmaster Billy, who was nothing more than a background character this whole time up until now. Billy then reveals himself and his magical powers.
I totally forgot about him.
I didn't forget you.
Little witch?
You do realize you're just standing on your tippy toes, don't you?
Yes, it turns out that Billy is magical himself. He then rambles on about his whole motive, being that he had a crush on Alice for a very long time, but when she rejected him, he of course went nuts and decided to get revenge on her for turning him down. Yeah, never heard that plotline before. So somehow, he learned magic in order to exact his revenge with his mastery of witchcraft. So if he learned witchcraft but isn't a witch, then what does that make Billy?
I guess that makes me a warlock.
To be fair, this could have been a very scary setup where a girl stalker gains unlimited magical powers, but the fact that it was just a random guy who was mostly in the background doesn't exactly help make him that scary. It turns out that Reggie betrayed his friend and helped Billy in his evil plan this whole time for the stupidest of reasons. I swear, I'm not making this up or over-exaggerating, but Reggie betrayed his best friend for Boy Scout badges. Honest to you all, Boy Scout badges. Reggie helped a deranged stalker harass his best friend and his sister for Boy Scout badges.
Did you know about this? You took my hair and put it in my boot? There must be badges might help. Badges, Pete. Badges.
That motive is so stupid and pathetic that it did cost this episode a number of points. What's worse is that the show does expect you to take that completely seriously. Yes, really. They want you to take it seriously that Reggie betrayed his friends for Boy Scout badges. I was actually liking this episode up until I heard that incredibly stupid line. But a magical battle occurs as Alice uses her magic to control Reggie and forces him to destroy all of Billy's magical supplies as the villain just stands there looking dumbstruck. And the witch sister anticlimactically defeats the warlock by shoving a cart into him. Really? 2 epic spellcasters in a one-on-one fight, and she defeats Billy without magic at all. However, Alice does do the smart thing by casting a spell on Billy so he won't come back. The next day, because I'm sure nothing interesting happened at all after the magic duel, we see that Pete and Reggie are pals again, along with Alice, who now respects her brother, and they had a huge success with their science project. As it turns out, that their science project was really Billy cursed to be a toad. Oh, I'm sure he just needs to kiss a princess and he'll be fine. And believe it or not, but this episode ends on what comes close to a happy ending. Yeah, no child death this time. Everyone lives and the bad guy got his karma. You know, in all honesty, this episode wasn't really that bad. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. I think the fact that Reggie betraying his friends for Boy Scout badges is the stupidest thing in this entire story, but everything else was surprisingly okay. Sure, there are a number of scenes that went nowhere, characters that got dropped unannounced, not that much character development, and the sister who's a witch didn't do that much amazing magic, and the climax was really rushed, but nothing that messed with the overall story that much, actually. It's not exactly a memorable episode, but it's a pretty decent story. I give My Sister the Witch a 7 out of 10. It's not horrible, but it's pretty average and does stand well as a story on its own. I think it's just underrated thanks to the lack of scares and the lack of deeper themes in this episode. So if you want to see it, you might actually like it, or just see it as an average tale. Either way, it's not bad, but pretty entertaining. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I hope to see you all next time.
I hope you're satisfied. But if you ain't, don't blame me. You can blame